We'll be starting in next 2 minutes.
Hamil. Okay.
Good morning, distinguished guests, members of the Institute, professional colleagues present here, and the ones attending the conference virtually. Welcome to the second International Conference of ICSI Overseas Center 2023. My name is Sukhpreet. I'm the member of the ICSI Overseas Center here. It is my honor and absolute privilege to invite our chief guest, the Right Honorable Baroness Dr. Sandeep Verma, member of the House of Lords, United Kingdom, and our guest of honor, Mr. Sujit Ghosh, Deputy High Commissioner of India to the United Kingdom. I request CS Manish Gupta, President ICSI, CS Suresh Pandey, Council Member, the ICSI, and CS Abhijit Mukhopadhyay, Chairman ICSI Overseas Center UK, to kindly escort our guests onto the dais. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as an institution established to regulate and develop the company secretary profession, the ICSI has always believed in inculcating the core values of ethics and integrity in all its stakeholders. Our motto, Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, which means speak the truth and abide by the law, inspires us to treat this path. May I please request you all to kindly stand up for the ICSI motto song. Thank you.
उम्मीद के अंबर में हम बन के खिले जो रोशनी, कह देंगे हम संसार को कोई लक्ष्य नामुमकिन नहीं। ज्ञान के और न्याय के हर राह को थामे हुए चल पड़े हैं झूम कर बस गीत ये गाते हुए। सत्यम वद धर्मम चर, सत्यम वद धर्मम चर, सत्यम वद धर्मम चर। कदमों की हर एक गूंज में बस जीत का एहसास हो, राष्ट्र प्रगति पथ पे हो और आत्मबल की आस हो। जब भी चले इस भाव से खुलते गए हैं रास्ते, आवाज हमने दिल से दी है जीत ये गाते हुए। सत्यम वद धर्मम चर, सत्यम वद धर्मम चर, सत्यम वद धर्मम चर। हर उन्नति के रंग में हर भारतीय हाथ हो, उद्यम हो या उद्योग हो, हर ओर अपना साथ हो। जाना शिखर तक है हमें सच की कलाई थाम कर, हम जीत के सुर छेड़ेंगे गीत ये गाते हुए। सत्यम वद धर्मम चर, सत्यम वद धर्मम चर, सत्यम वद धर्मम चर।
Wow, that feels great. May I request CS Manish Gupta, President the ICSI, to kindly felicitate our guest, Baroness Verma, with the Ang Vastram and the ICSI planter. Thank you. May I request CS Suresh Pandey, Council Member, the ICSI, and NCS Manish Gupta to please felicitate our guest of honor, Sujit Ghosh, with the Angvastram and the ICSI planter. Thank you so much. As you are aware, this two-day conference is set on the theme, Strengthening Global Governance for an Equitable, Inclusive and Sustainable Future, and it will focus on navigating the challenges of establishing an effective governance culture across boards. On that note, I would now request that Mr. Abhijit Mukhopadhyay give his welcome address. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Supreet. Good morning, all of you. It's my privilege and honor to welcome Baroness Verma, Member of the House of Lords, His Excellency Sujit Ghosh, Deputy High Commissioner for India in the United Kingdom, my friends Manish, President of the Institute, my friend Suresh, who is the Central Council member, to attend these 2 days conferences, and warm welcome to all of you, especially those who have come from India. Welcome to the city of London. Let me tell you this, that I consider London as the father of modern day corporate governance, since we are all discussing the corporate governance, sustainability, etc. Because you may remember in May 1991, Sir Adrian Cadbury, he brought out his earth-shattering, mind-boggling report. And he made 92 recommendations, basically on the area of accountability, disclosures, and financial reporting. Of course, what he said at the time was pretty limited. And each one of us at that point of time sitting in India, because India pre-structural reform days, which started in July 1991, these are the previous days, were all controlled by the government rules and regulations. We all said that it is not going to work for us. There are many skeptics even in this country, but eventually that Cadbury report was followed by many other reports. I'm not getting into it. And eventually what I see as corporate person, that the whole dimension of corporate governance has undergone complete changes and transformation. From governance tick box, we all used to say, let's do some tick boxing and that's all. Do you follow corporate governance? Of course we do it. But from there, we went into a compliance mechanism regime, which has become very tough these days. Now the CG, as we call it, has expanded further. It has expanded so much these days. When I look back 30 years back, I find it difficult to reconcile what we started with in this city and what we have gone. I remember one quote 25 years back, our own father of corporate governance in India, Narayan Murthy, made. he made a very interesting comment. Those days, 25 years back, we really did not realize what does it mean. He said, corporate governance is a good business. We thought this is something what he was mentioning, but definitely he was ahead of his time. Now we are very clear. If we want investment, be it in the country, be it in the sectors, be it private sector, public sector, you need to have, of course, very strong ethical corporate governance structure available with you on a sustainable basis. And mind that these are not high resolution, high sounding words that we are telling. And I mean it. And in my own group, I am seeing, unless there is a strong CG, the investors, they are not willing to invest. Not only that, we have even faced situation where the investors threaten to withdraw because of lack of or whatever in the corporate governance area. I'll conclude by telling, because I'm not here to introduce the subject, there are many experts who will do that. I will conclude by telling something very interesting, what we see it in the European Union, how the whole realm, context, contour of corporate governance has changed. Today, it has gone beyond that. There are European Union regulations, if I remember correctly, which talks about not only the health and safety, the ethical part of it, even it talks about exploitation. It talks about human rights violation. Now, this is something which I have taken it up, that I do not know as a company, if I want to invest in the EU, how on earth I can really find out my partners or I am accused of any human rights violation. But this is what it is. So the whole context of corporate governance is undergoing changes. You may all know in 2012, there was a devastating fire in Bangladesh where child laborers, almost 100 of them were perished. And the whole apparel manufacturers here, including the big brands, they all stopped buying from Bangladesh, and still they are suffering because of that, because there are economic consequences of that. So this is the strength of corporate governance. I'll conclude by telling that let us not only follow the corporate governance in letter, but also in spirit. Let's not do the tick boxing, because the whole world has integrated. From 1991, we are in 2023. We can't survive by having any kind of shoddy or shabby kind of corporate governance. We should mean it. The whole board is responsible for institutionalizing the corporate governance system. So we have to mean it, whether we are living in India and if we are living in the United Kingdom and of course in the Western world. These days, businesses are being lost in absence of strong corporate governance regime. I'm sure in the next 2 days, there will be a lot of discussions on that. I look forward to hearing. And again, my warm welcome to Baroness Verma, and we are all very grateful to her and His Excellency Mr. Ghosh, that coming all the way, taking time on a Thursday morning, and then attending this conference. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mukhopadhyay, for setting the tone of the conference and again highlighting the importance of adopting good governance practices. I now invite CS Suresh Pandey, Council Member, the ICSI, to please introduce the theme of the conference for us.
Good morning, eminent guests on the dais, off the dais, and all our esteemed members who are watching us live. More than like 3,000 members are attending this conference online. So as we start this 2-day learning opportunity, I feel happy to present the theme of second international conference of ICSI Overseas Center. The theme is strengthening global governance for an equitable, inclusive, and sustainable future. So with the G20 presidency placing India on a very prominent position this year, providing sustainable solution to persistent global issues has become a priority for the country and is well reflected as in its G20 theme of the year of One Earth, One Family, and One Future. So we are following the rule of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Aligning with the same, the ICSI intending to provide a platform through this conference to envision integrity in governance. It will give us all global professional an opportunity to explore new prospects. The conference will also give you all an understanding of ease of doing business in India and the governance framework prevalent in country. I wish that all of you will have a very enriching learning experience. And on this occasion, we have with us the Right Honorable Baroness Dr. Sandeep Verma. Baroness Verma is highly influential, both as an outward-facing global business leader and within the numerous political positions he has held. Since entering the House of Lords in 2006, she has held several key ministerial appointments in government and opposition. Baroness Verma is adept at leading term from the front, strong in strategy development and transformational changes. She has significant experience in chairing committees both in private and public sectors. A strong and committed advocate of diversity and inclusion, she is involved in a wealth of influential initiative to create more inclusive working environment in society. She has led from the front, especially on gender and race discrimination, both in political position as well as in her many roles on committee. Baroness Verma was the Prime Minister's ministerial global champion for tackling violence against women and girls when was a government minister. Baroness Verma has received various accolades over the years as a business leader, politician, and champion on right and across the opportunities. She co-founded Powerful Women when, as an energy minister, she saw the lack of senior women in energy sector, which has helped change the way women are supported in the sector. She is chair United Nations Women UK, the National Committee of UN Women, the only United Nations organization that focuses especially on women and girls. She is Chancellor of Roehampton University and sits on the Governing Council of Southampton University. Baroness Verma is an independent director of Phoenix Stock Exchange of Mauritius and an advisor on numerous business bodies. So please give a big round of applause for Baroness Verma. And today we have with us Mr. Sujit Ghosh. His Excellency Sujit Ghosh is a career diplomat and belongs to 2001 batch of Indian Foreign Services at Ministry of External Affairs in Delhi. He has served in various capacities, including Under Secretary in the Gulf Division and Americas Division, and as a Director East Asia China in East Asia Division. Mr. Ghosh holds a bachelor degree in economics from Patna University and an MPhil degree in international relations from the renowned Jawaharlal University of Delhi. So please give a big round of applause for Mr. Sujit Ghosh. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pandey, for giving us an overview of how the 2 days will unfold. I now request CS Manish Gupta, President of the ICSI, to kindly give us his presidential address.
Thank you, Supreet. Madam Baroness Verma, Chief Guest for the 2 days conference, Mr. Sujit Ghosh, Deputy High Commissioner and Ambassador to India, from India to London, Abhijit sir, Suresh, Jyoti ma'am, all the learned speakers who are present here, ladies and gentlemen, the members who have participated through the virtual mode. At the outset, I welcome you all to the second international conference being organized by ICSI at London. Let me share with you the journey behind it, because this is the second international conference which we are organizing today and tomorrow. And the entire journey was started last year when we thought fit to have those international conferences with ICSI. Up to this time, we were having national conventions, wherein more than 2,000 people are generally participating on those events. So we thought fit to have our global presence all across the world. So we started with the first international conference last year, that was at Dubai. And let me share with you all that we are also having 6 overseas centers, basically the extended arm of ICSI, wherein our chapters are there in 6 countries. Those countries include UAE, Dubai, UK, London, USA, then Singapore, Canada, and Australia. We have our presence as of now. And we are looking for opening more overseas centers in the days to come. We have identified and started working on another 4 overseas center, and very soon, within this year only, we'll targeting 4 more overseas centers to come up. This is all about the journey of the international overseas conferences. Let me also share that last year we have given a theme to the entire working of ICSI as see us a preferred professional. So this year, taking a one more leap, we have given a theme, see us a global professional. Last year we were targeting the domestic, I would say the Indian audiences, Indian stakeholders, when we have given the preferred professional. Now we are targeting the global footprints for the members of ICSI particularly. And let me share that we do have our overseas exam center at Dubai. And we are looking for opening of more overseas exam centers wherein the students who have enrolled with us can appear in those examinations from their convenience in their countries itself. As of now, that is only in Dubai. And let me also share that UK is always close to ICSI because we do have many MOUs. One is with CISI, another is with the Corporate Governance Institute of London. And those MOUs are always strengthening the activities of ICSI. At the same time, we are looking for the reciprocal arrangements with them. For the Governance Institute at UK, many of our members, I would say precisely more than 2,500 have already cleared those examinations. Most of them are still in London and working and providing their services to the UK-based companies. Out of more than 1 lakh, ma'am, just for your information, the entire globe is having almost 1,05,000 chartered secretaries or the governance professionals. And out of those 1,05,000, more than 71,000 belongs to India only. And we people are the leaders in those corporate governance. The motto, the vision of ICSI is also related to the same, to be a global leader in promoting good governance. So we are trying to put all our efforts with respect to the creating governance all across the world. Friends, the theme and sub-themes, the speakers, we have already shared those brochures and Suresh has already touched upon. I just want to share a few things which is like there in the ICSI domain and we have started with working on it. One is related to the ADR centers. Now arbitration is going to be the next big thing wherein India is looking to be a hub for the arbitration resolution mechanism. So at India, we have started with the ADR centers, wherein we'll be providing all the support to all the stakeholders who are looking to resolution from the ADR mechanism. And we'll be opening up the ADR centers all across India at our chapters. We do have 72 chapters all across India, plus 6 these overseas center. So going forward, those international arbitration would be a big thing. And wherever those international arbitration to be settled in India through the mechanism of the Indian laws. So we'll be providing all the support to the companies and other stakeholders who are looking for the resolutions. Abhijit sir has just talked about the corporate governance. We have taken a leap in this corporate governance as well. And we are coming out with the ESG standards and the uniform norms for the corporates. Because ESG is the next big thing, which is like talked about and people have started discussion about it. More than a governance is the ESG, which is being looked by the stakeholders. So we have constituted a board for the ESG standards, and very soon we'll be coming out with the ESG compliance standards for all the stakeholders. Today we have with us Jyoti ma'am. She is from the Competition Commission of India, and I have to share This month is the foundation month for the Competition Commission, and we have dedicated our monthly journal, which is named as Chartered Secretary Journal, dedicated to the competition law. And I'm happy to share that chairperson of Competition Commission of India, Sangeeta Verma, has given her interview, and that is published in the Chartered Secretary as well. And we'll be releasing the Chartered Secretary, ma'am, today itself in this conference. So that is all from my side. I hope the 2 days conference is going to benefit each and every participant who have joined physically as well virtually through the virtual mode. And there are many takeaways out of the discussions which are going to happen in these 2 days. Wishing you all happy learning in these 2 days. And for all the assistance and help, we are always there and will be available at your convenience. Thank you very much for joining in. And I once again welcome you all to the 2 days conference being organized by ICSI. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, not just for your words, but also for bringing this insightful conference to this beautiful city of London. I'm excited to share that ICSI is releasing a few publications today. The first one is Handbook on Business Responsibility and Sustainability. In its endeavor to recognize the efforts of companies integrating ESG in their business practices, the ICSI instituted the ICSI Business Responsibility and Sustainability Awards in the year 2022. Based on the analysis of companies that participated in these awards, ICSI has come up with the publication compiling the legislative journey and the observed practices amongst shortlisted companies on the ESG front. The publication also contains a step-by-step guide for corporates for a hassle-free business responsibility and sustainability reporting. The next is the ICSI is pleased to announce. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, now I can disclose the next one. Have a go ahead. Next is the ICSI is pleased to announce the opening of the empanelment of social auditors, which are also referred as SAs, to the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, Institute of Social Auditors, also referred as ICSI, ICSA, a Section 8 under the Companies Act 2013, incorporated by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. The ICSI, ICSA will register social auditors and lay down the criteria and norms for empanelment as well as standards of professional conduct for the registered social auditors. The ICSI has also issued the ICSI social audit standards to provide guidance to conduct social audits of social enterprises. Thank you. And finally, we have the all-new Chartered Secretary Journal. It is the most coveted flagship journal of the ICSI for over 5 decades and is revered by the members as a resourceful compendium comprising vital deliberations and aspects related to the profession of company secretaries. The journal is adorning a changed look now, where a new section called Beyond Governance has been introduced with a new case study in every issue related to the profession. It is a proud moment for all of us at ICSI to launch the all-new Chartered Secretary Journal with a special edition on competition laws.
Ma'am, please join us. She's from competition law.
Thank you, everyone. I would now request our guest of honor, Mr. Sujit Ghosh, Deputy High Commissioner of India to the UK, to kindly come and address the gathering.
Good morning to all of you. I've been asked by the organizers to speak on India's presidency of G20, and I would be sharing my thoughts with this house here on this theme. India is currently holding the leadership of G20, which comes at a crucial moment when international politics is riven by multiple challenges, including that of geopolitical and related geoeconomic shocks, supply chain disruptions, anxiety of debt crisis, sustained inflationary pressure in emerging markets, and recession risk in advanced economies, all built upon the foundation of worsening long-term global challenges, including climate change. The impact of the 3 years of the pandemic upon the global economy remains severe. Collectively, G20 nations constitute an important grouping comprising world's major developed and developing economies, accounting for 85% of global GDP, 75% of international trade, and 2/3 of the world population. Action taken to respond to these complex challenges by this group will therefore be very relevant. India's salience in international affairs has translated into growing expectations from the international community that it plays a defining role in shaping the present and future contours of the global political and economic order. India represents the aspirations of 1/6 of the human population. It has a young and increasingly skilled workforce. 65% of Indians are below 35. This is especially relevant in a world which is increasingly facing the challenges of demographic decline and skill deficit. India is today one of the fastest growing major economies, a favored investment destination, and a trusted global partner. The India growth story is resilient and robust, with stable macroeconomic fundamentals and a focus on creating a sustainable, digitally driven, innovation-centric economy. India's GDP is expected to reach an annual figure of $32 trillion by 2047. The world needs new and innovative approaches to tackle today's complex challenges. As recent developments, including COVID, has shown, India's technological advancement and a successful innovation fostering ecosystem has not only benefited its own population, it has also led to India contributing to more than its share of global public goods. Indian innovation can respond to challenges of scale and deliver at speed. The current global architecture does not reflect the realities of the times, be it politics, economics, demographics, or aspirations. It is hardly inclusive or representative. Absence of reforms is eroding the credibility of global decision-making, which must be democratized if it has to have a future. The future of multilateralism depends very much on our collective ability to strengthen it in a changing world. India's leadership of G20 is playing an effective role in amplifying the voice of Global South and bringing Global South together with the West to jointly address the challenges of the day. Sustainable, holistic, responsible, and inclusive growth are the key elements defining India's approach to G20 presidency. This is reflected in India's thematic priorities for G20, which include green development, climate finance and life, accelerated inclusive and resilient growth, accelerating progress on SDGs, technological transformation and public digital infrastructure, reforms in multilateral institutions of the 21st century, and women-led development. Amidst heightened concerns for inclusive development, the challenge for the G20 is to accelerate global trade, make it more inclusive, and help developing countries achieve SDGs. The challenges of food, fertilizers, and energy security are current global realities and must be treated as such. It is absolutely important that such issues do not get relegated to the periphery of the international discourse. There is also a need for more reliable and resilient supply chains. The world is well aware of the risks of being dependent on limited geographies. India is also utilizing its G20 presidency to showcase India's leadership in climate action and climate commitments. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has pointed out that our dedication to climate commitments is evident from our performance. We have achieved the target of 40% energy capacity from non-fossil sources 9 years before time. At the COP26 summit, the Prime Minister announced the Panchamrit, or 5 major areas of climate action commitments by India, including creating a net zero economy by 2070. Access to climate finance and technology would be critical in facilitating the ambitious goals India has set for herself. Prime Minister has also emphasized the importance of behavioral change for catalyzing climate action and highlighted the need for collective action by the global community as part of a movement called Lifestyle for Environment. Our vibrant renewable energy sector has shown that India can create a solid business case for investing in the green transition. The G20 could take the lead in mobilizing international finance and the multilateral development system to publicize and incentivize green investment. India believes that digital technology and digital public platforms are key to deepening engagements of government with citizens and vice versa. Digital solutions to traditional problems have transformed and elevated the lives of people across the world. Through the G20, we are sharing our approach with the rest of the world on digital public goods to utilize data for common good and holistic development. A new tech order must combine cross-border flows of technology and investment with development and growth aspirations. In the Bali summit of G20, Prime Minister Modi declared that India's presidency will prioritize the principle of data for development, which aims to underscore the transformational role of data in accelerating progress on SDGs. The focus is on capacity building, inclusion of gender and youth, role of academia and private sector, alignment with sovereign laws, values such as consent, privacy, and inclusion. Overall, India's presidency is pursuing practical global solutions for the benefit of all, driven by its ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or all creation is one family. India's helming of the G20 at this critical juncture would add to G20's representative and inclusive orientation. It would also strengthen the forces of democracy and multilateralism and contribute to healing, harmony, and hope, which are the need of this hour. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ghosh, for enlightening the participants on and sharing your thoughts on these important matters as highlighted in your address. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to request the Right Honorable Baroness Dr. Sandeep Verma, Member of the House of Lords, UK, to please address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your very, very warm welcome and congratulate you all on this second international conference. These conferences are critical, they're vital. And to His Excellency, the Deputy High Commissioner, setting the tone for a very clean, sustainable world is critical. However, there are lots of disadvantages still within the world's context. And if I can just start by saying, COVID was a great leveler for us all. And for those listening online across the world, as well as our delegates here in person, I'm sure we are refreshed that we can meet again. After 3 years, it was quite challenging. But what COVID taught us was two things. One, how absolutely unequal the world was. And secondly, technology enabled us to actually communicate better over longer distances in a much more sustainable way. Now, I've been involved in corporate governance and the ESG world for a very, very long time, probably before it was fashionable. And the reason for that is those of us who have tried desperately hard to encourage corporate companies or businesses, governments, to understand that a diverse lens actually provides a much better outcome for not just the businesses, but the communities at large and society as a whole. Now, we talk about technology, but technology in itself is a great barrier if you can't access it. And therefore, how do we ensure that when we are leveling up and we're trying to reach out and make sure that the platforms are accessible to everyone, how do we ensure that that is happening? And so technology, whilst it's a great, it's an enabler, it also it eliminates a lot of people who should be in on the mix. So I would urge everyone to think about how we actually reach out and make sure that the technology, the digitalization that actually I've watched happening in India, it is a phenomenal force. And I know the Deputy High Commissioner mentioned that 65% of India's population is under 35. But remember, AI is on its way and it's becoming a greater force. And AI will be the biggest disruptor if we do not manage AI well. And therefore, your large swathes of young people under 35 need to be properly engaged at every level. The global challenges are here for all of us, I'm afraid. We don't sit now in neat little boxes where a global challenge over there doesn't impact a country over here. We are actually very, very intertwined. And if we ignore that, I'm sad to say that the world itself will suffer badly. And we have that debate going on in the UK. Last night, I was in the debate in the House of Lords on how do you look at illegal immigration? It's a big topic. But at the same time, world migration is going to happen when the food scarcity, the water scarcity becomes a major issue. So for all of us, ESG, good governance, transparency, accountability, looking at how we look at supply chains. How do we encourage ourselves to actually challenge the supply chains that we're working with? Do we look at their ESG models? Do we look at how they measure? Do we actually ask them questions, or is it great? The bottom line is going to look fantastic, so we need to be on the journey. So I am extremely pleased at the release of the two books that you've done today, because I was flicking through them very quickly. They are the most easiest read, understanding what needs to be done, but it needs to go out to a wider audience. G20, I was there in India a month ago with a delegation of parliamentarians because we want to do more trade with India. We want the UK and the India FTA to be, of course, successful, but it's beyond that. There are many, many relationships beyond the FTA that we need to be looking at. And absolutely, you're right. The G20 is setting an agenda that everybody needs to follow clearly. However, there are still lots of pockets that no country is managing well. And part of that is the diverse board. If you do not have a board that is reflective of the population you serve, I'm sorry to say the tick box exercise, which is going on in many, many places, will continue. So how do we challenge that? And those are the big questions that all leaders need to be asking themselves. Are we actually content with just having an exercise that says, well, I followed that, I've done that, but that's my job done? Actually, best leaders in the world disrupt even the tick box. They go beyond the tick box. And it isn't about filling a board with 5 more women or 2 more women or whatever, or somebody of disability or somebody from a poorer social economic background to come up. Is really about the add value you're bringing to your organizations. And that's why when we talk about corporate governance, we talk about sustainability, we talk about transparency and accountability. How do we measure it? How are your organizations actually challenging yourselves to measure that? Now, you know, I chair a number of organizations, and one of them happens to be my son's organization. My challenge constantly is, how do we make better the people that are on the levels below? So we have a proper supply chain of brilliant people coming through our organizations. And we all know, and I hear it so many times, so I'm going to smash this myth now, that there are not enough people in the pipeline from different backgrounds. There are plenty of people in the pipeline. They've been there a very, very long time. It's if you don't give them the opportunity, you won't see them. So ask yourselves, what are you doing? How do you actually look at potential? How do you measure potential? How do you then nurture potential? How do you make sure that when we have women sitting on your boards, coming in through your businesses, that at every juncture in life, and we all know it, you know, men yet haven't learned how to childbear, but they will have to be supportive. Those key moments in people's lives. You know, we're talking about well-being. We're talking about good health. We're talking about work-life balance. We're talking about a change in how we look at how corporate governance is actually distributed out. And I don't think that we are anywhere near to how the ideal model looks like. So when you say we want to do more in the UK, we want to have better engagement, totally agree. How is it that people like myself can assist you in that? How do we work together to be able to get that wider discussion going? I mean, I sit with the IOD India, and we're constantly challenging ourselves, but we're constantly coming up against the same hurdles, that we do not look at ourselves enough before we try to distribute information out. And the only way to bring change, I'm afraid, is to actually look very carefully at what we are doing ourselves. If it doesn't demonstrate, and forgive me, and I'm going to say it, because those of you who know me well enough will know that I will say it, but if a panel looks like this all of the time, nothing changes. That doesn't mean that you have tokenism on the panel. You must never have tokenism on the panel. You must seek out the best of the best to be there, because seeing means you motivate for others to be able to also change. We cannot just say we want more women, or we want more people of this group, or we want more people of that group, and then not have them in the room. So it's important. People will, those who know me, and I forgive me, but I always blame it. I was born in Amritsar, and people from Amritsar are very spoken up on what they want to say. But I've been here all my life, and I've seen changes so slow that actually I'm looking towards India, who has in the last 25, 30 years miraculously changed. It has been on a journey in the fast lane on the motorway. It's a model for us to emulate. There are lots of things that are still challenges, but there is so much good going on in India, I cannot believe it. And some of us in the West need to wake up and smell the coffee on that, because we could learn from shared best practices. But we need to share those practices by making sure that we are reflective of the people in the room. So, you know, I can go on, you know, politicians can talk for a very, very long time, but I won't. But I do want to I just want to leave you with about 3 thoughts, if I may. And one of those thoughts is that, you know, when we look at ourselves in the world, where do we want to see ourselves in the next decade? Because in the next decade, there'll be jobs that will be created in the green sector that don't exist today. There'll be technologies that don't exist today that will be there. I believe firmly in collaboration. What can we do more to collaborate and share best practice? Number two, how do we make sure it's a normal conversation about inclusivity, about equity? It's not just about equality, it's about equity. How do I have the equity to be in the same room as everyone else? Why is that door not opening for everyone who has got the ability and the potential to be able to be there? Look at your organizations and think about that. And the final thing is, look, if we are to make the world a better place, it means the poorest of the poor, wherever they are in the world, have to be on the journey with us. And therefore, businesses everywhere who are part of your supply chains need to be sharing in the same agenda as you. And with all of the will in the world, the only way we do it when leadership comes from the top. Leadership is the prime ability of all of us who are in those positions to be able to change direction of travel. And I do put it to each and every one of you. Let's not do tokenism. Let's not feel right that we've got a couple of people that look different to us on the board. Let's make sure that the board operates within the actual confines of good governance. Good governance is a really good basic point, but add value to all of those pointers. ESG, you know, the fact that we want diversity and inclusion, the fact that we actually want to make sure that going forward, that young people coming into the workplace have a good moral, ethical compass that tells you we want everybody to share in wealth, not just the few. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baroness Verma. We feel privileged to have had a chance of listening to your inspiring words. You have shared very important pointers for us to embrace, which will help us all assess and tighten our governance practices. I request Ms. Preeti Banerjee to kindly come and propose the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukhpreet. A very warm good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm namaste from London. The Right Honorable Baroness Sandeep Verma, the chief guest at the conference today, our guest of honor, Mr. Sujit Ghosh, Deputy High Commissioner of India to UK, ICSI President C.S. Manish Gupta, Central Council Member C.S. Suresh Pandey, and London Overseas Centre Chairman C.S. Abhijit Mukhopadhyay. Distinguished guests and colleagues, I feel honored and privileged to propose the vote of thanks on this special occasion. On behalf of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, I stand here today to express my heartfelt gratitude to all those who have made this event possible. I would like to start by thanking Honorable Baroness Dr. Sandeep Verma, who has been kind enough to grace our modest attempt and honored us with her presence today. And ma'am, I would also like to mention, you said that, there has to be balance on the dais. I'm happy to share that we have around over 72,000 company secretaries, and almost 50% of them are women. I thank our very own Deputy High Commissioner of India to UK, Mr. Sujit Ghosh, for enlightening the participants and supporting our initiative. The ICSI has a vision to be a global leader in promoting good corporate governance and the mission to develop high caliber professionals facilitating good corporate governance. In an endeavor to provide a holistic and multidisciplinary perspective to all its members, the ICSI started organizing international conferences last year, that was in 2022. While the first international conference held in Dubai laid emphasis on redefining good governance amidst an environment of disruption, uncertainty, and change. This one will essentially provide a platform to envision probity in governance. Thank you, President, for your constant guidance and support for shaping the conference. Thank you, C.S. Suresh Pandey. Thank you, Ms. Jyoti Jindgar. She's here, flew down for the conference from Delhi. A special thanks to our London team led by Mr. Abhijit Mukhopadhyay Thank you, Sukhpreet, for moderating the session. Sincere thanks to our esteemed speakers, panelists, and moderators. We look forward to having power-packed discussions in the upcoming sessions spread across 2 days. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. It requires not just meticulous planning and execution, but also an eye for detail. We are fortunate enough to have a highly motivated and dedicated team back home in India who has worked day in and day out to put together this event. A big shout out to my corporate communications and international affairs team back in India. I thank all the delegates present here physically and those who have joined us virtually from different parts of the world. And I'm told it's almost like we've crossed some 2,800 participants who are joining us virtually. I thank all the sponsors for their support in organizing the event and helping us with their benevolence. Special thanks to Scient, Sunday Capital, and the Cloud PLC. We much appreciate the support and facilities provided by ETC Venues and Anchor Event Management. Finally, I would once again like to thank you all for taking out time to be with us today and helping us make this event a grand success. Thank you so much. Yes. I would request everyone to please kindly stand up for the national anthem for both the nations.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the plenary two of this event, a special session on the intersection of competition law, corporate governance, sustainability, and inclusiveness. And for that, I invite Ms. Jyoti Jengar Bhanot, Advisor and Secretary, Competition Commission of India, to kindly come onto the dais and share her thoughts with us. Thank you.